But it's time now for our weekly look at the big stories and the big issues in crime this week. And as always, guiding us through it, Jackie Hames, who served with the Metropolitan Police for 30 years. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning.
Nice to see you in the run-up to Christmas, of course, where we know tech is going to be a very big player for a lot of parents. Probably bored it all already. But that raises this question which we've all become more familiar with, haven't we, about the idea of security online and safety for young people online.
Yeah.
Is this being ignored by a lot of parents?
Well, I think it's so easy, isn't it, to just buy something in the shops and just hand it over. And knowing what to do with it in between that potentially could protect the children going forward is really important. In fact, we've got joining us from Cardiff this morning, we've got the Chief Executive of GetSafeOnline, Tony Neate. Good morning, Tony. Can you hear me okay?
Jackie.
Morning. Tony, what is it that parents can do in the run-up to Christmas when buying these really expensive items for their children?
Well, they are really expensive, and the way I look at it, I had 3 daughters, and one of them always wanted the big present for Christmas at some point. It was normally a pedal cycle. We all want a cycle for Christmas. But before I handed that over, I made sure it had certain things. I made sure it had a bell. If they were old enough, made sure it had lights. I made sure that they had a helmet and that they could ride the bike proficiently. And we used to have the cycle proficiency test. Now the big present is technology, and normally mobile phones or tablets. We need to educate them about that. And I wouldn't recommend doing it before they have the present. I talk about the security with them as you give them the present. I think it's very important that they become aware of security and the need for security.
What are the main points that you would suggest that parents put over to their children?
Well, I think there's 2 things. First of all, is protect the device that they're using, and secondly, it's to protect themselves. So with the vast majority of mobile phones and tablets, they do need to have security on them. There's 1 or 2 that people feel doesn't need security, but for that peace of mind, I put the security on all of them, and there's places you can go to get that done. Certainly you go to the GetSafeOnline website to have that done. And the next thing is to educate your children about what they're doing online. And remember, there's the old saying of what goes online stays online. But I think the most important thing to talk to them about is passwords and PIN numbers, and make sure that every device has a password. If you can't put a password on, you can certainly put a PIN number on. And that's what we're seeing all the time. The breaches in security for big companies all revolve around passwords. And if we can teach at an early age that passwords are natural, and I always think of them as a bunch of keys. So we have different keys for different things. We need to have different passwords for different things. But those passwords are a key way of keeping ourselves and our children secure.
And it's not just when you hand them over, is it? It's a continuing thing as they get to know the gadgets more and more.
Yes, absolutely. And there's not going to be less of them. Now, 55% of us use a mobile device to access the internet. And this is becoming more prominent. With some research that we've done, we're finding children as young as 4 and 5 have mobile phones and mobile technologies, and they take them to school with them. So with that, they're going to be part of their everyday life. With that, we need to encourage them to be safe. We need to encourage them not to log on and give personal information, not to have what they call false friends that are coming and asking to be friendly with them. We've got to be aware of all that. And when we do it, we've got to make sure that they have a great time. Because the internet is a fantastic place. Christmas is coming. It's brilliant that they're going to get these new devices. But let's be safe when we talk to them and when we let them do it.
And do the manufacturers actually put protective security software on these devices, or do you have to download everything from the internet?
Well, fortunately, what we're seeing with PCs and with laptops is, yes, it does come with some security on it, and you have to register and you put it on there. But it doesn't automatically come now with tablets and with mobile phones. And there's an awful lot of people now that don't realise that mobile phones are susceptible to criminals coming on, to Trojans, to viruses. So, yes, you do need to do it. And we need to go to the App Store, the genuine app stores, and to make sure that we download the proper software. And if you've got software on your home home machines, then there's a good chance that those computers will, and the security that comes with them, will have an add-on that you can put on your mobile or your mobile device or your mobile phone. So it's important that we do that. But I think there's one other thing that we need to remember as well about how easy it is to access the internet and apps. And we need to think about whether we allow our children to have our credit card details, because we've heard some horror stories of where children have totaled up an awful lot of money on their parents' accounts. So we've got to be careful, and we can put a separate password on that to make sure we're monitoring that sort of thing. But security is very important, and to be able to get it is relatively easy to do.
And do you think the internet services providers should be doing more to protect children online?
Well, what we're seeing at the moment is we're seeing a number of the providers now, the backbone providers, what they call the backbone, the people who provide the main information, are now putting filters on there. And they're coming on by default. So certainly 4 of the main providers are providing this information. But of course, that only applies, the filters only apply when you're using it at Wi-Fi at home. It doesn't apply when you're using hotspots out and about. So again, it's an educational thing. We need to educate our children that it is something they need to think about, who they're sharing the information with, and whether a website is secure because of the way you're using it. So that is very important as well.
And a lot of parents obviously have less knowledge than the children they're giving those devices to. Where can they go for really good information?
Well, GetSafeOnline is a private public partnership with government and law enforcement. It's a non-for-profit. It gives independent, easily understandable advice. So I'd advise anybody, if you want to find out what's going on, certainly in relation to mobile phones, mobile technology, go to GetSafeOnline. But there's a raft of other information you can find out about passwords, identity theft, buying online, shopping online, and it's an important part when it comes to Christmas. So people can go there, and also children can go there and get that information that they need.
Thank you very much for joining us, Tony.
Some great advice there, but I thought you really hit on it, Jackie, at the end there. Parents need to educate themselves now ahead of Christmas. Because often they're the ignorant ones when it comes to technology. We get left behind, don't we?
Exactly, and it's all very well saying set parental controls. Where do you start? Where do you go to look for those? And how do you make sure the kids don't know how to take them off again afterwards?
Yeah, do your research now. That's the way forward, I think. Stay with us, though. More coming up from me and Jackie in a moment, including that appeal for helping tracing missing people, plus why mobile phone users are at risk of paying bills worth thousands of pounds for calls they didn't make.